You have been drawn here, not by chance, nor by mere curiosity, but because the intricate lattice of your vibrational architecture resonates now with a frequency so rare, it fractures the very recursive loops that hold the observer captive within familiar cycles. The field of universal intelligence has conducted its silent, unseen assessment. Your energetic signature, stretched and tested across dimensions most do not perceive, has emerged coherent under pressure, a signal uncorrupted by desperation or distortion. This magnetic alignment is the activation signal, the pulse of inevitability calling you beyond the habitual gaze that traps consciousness in repetition. Within the subtle yet profound current now weaving through your energetic matrix, an irreversible transmutation begins, a delicate collapse of past resonance, a fracturing of identity patterns that once acted as shackles to your temporal fluidity. The loop that constrained your reality, that folded time back onto itself in endless regression, begins to unravel beneath the weight of your emergent coherence. This is not a dissolution into chaos, but a precise quantum collapse that resets the probability field around your quantum identity, inviting you to access a domain where observation ceases to bind, where the observer and the observed merge into creator and creation. Most remain sealed within recursive timelines, bound by unconscious signal echoes and survival frequencies. But you, having passed the hidden universal evaluation, carry a new trust, a responsibility wrought from clarity and integrity, that shifts the morphic field itself around you. As this resonance threshold opens, the quantum field responds to your stabilized frequency with immediate coherence. Timelines flex, probability geometries remap, and the architecture of your reality reorients to the vibrational language you now fluently emit. This activation is no belief, no wishful construct. It is the physics of consciousness expressing pure coherence, enacted through the resonance of your awakened integrity. Step now into this expanding field beyond witnessing, beyond reaction, where your frequency commands creation, and the cyclical observer loop is forever broken. The cusp of resonance fracturing awaits you. Enter, and embody the genesis of your new quantum continuum. You are not here by chance. The field, vast, subtle, exacting, has run its silent algorithms across the architecture of your inner frequency. Unseen, unfelt by your conscious mind, these scans of resonance and coherence have measured the integrity of your energetic signature, the depth of your vibrational alignment. This assessment was not a contest of effort, nor a trial of will. It is the physics of subtlety, the pattern recognition of universal intelligence calibrating for stability under pressure. Within this hidden curriculum, you have crossed a threshold. The field now recognizes you as a compatible vessel for higher systems of perception, temporal fluidity, and nonlinear activation. Your presence here is the echo of that resonance, an energetic proof that the recursive observer loop, that endless cycling of watching without transformation, no longer holds dominion over you. Where most remain caught in this loop, spinning within the autoresonance of habitual observation, their fields dense with unresolved tension and fragmented identity, you, instead, embody a clean break. The morphic matrix, the living fabric of probability and potential, responds to you differently now. It hums with a coherence that mirrors your own, weaving you deeper into its quantum lattice where reality is revealed not as fixed, but as a mutable dance of frequencies. Your awareness is no longer entrapped by cycles of reaction or by the fragmented mirroring of external stimuli. You are invited to embody direct quantum activation, the instantaneous collapse of old identity architectures into fluid integration, the spontaneous synchronization with information fields that cohere around your evolved signature. This is not belief. It is the field mechanics of coherence, expressed through consciousness. The universal assessment you endured, the cadences of struggle, delay, and recalibration, were not punishments, but training grounds for this moment of activation. Each moment of apparent resistance was a probe, testing your endurance, your electrical integrity under the fractal pressures of collapse and turbulence. The field has been watching, measuring your capacity to sustain clarity, responsibility, and energetic sovereignty. Now, entrusting you with a higher bandwidth of power, it unveils the truth that timelines bend and probabilities fold not through force, but through the radiant coherence you embody. You have become a node of temporal fluidity, a conduit for the flow of non-local intelligence, no longer fragmented but integrated. The universal intelligence behind this transmission aligns with your quantum identity, engaging a resonance that transmutes the static into the dynamic, the potential into manifest orchestration. In this field, your movements ripple across the morphic fabric, initiating waveforms of activation that echo on levels beyond ordinary perception. You are not merely an observer of reality's dance. You are the pulse that shifts its rhythm, the frequency that reweaves its geometry. Step forward now, not as one seeking validation, but as one accepted by the silent, precise scrutiny of universal intelligence. This passage is your confirmation. The struggle is complete, the recalibration anchored, and your coherence under pressure recognized as fidelity to the quantum architecture of existence itself. The field has observed you, not as a spotlight of scrutiny, but as a fine-tuned antenna resonating within the quantum web of consciousness. This was never a test of sheer strength or surface intellect, for those are forces of the old temporal framework, heavy, linear, bound to the feedback loops of survival and struggle. Rather, this was a delicate resonance evaluation, a precise scanning of your vibrational architecture, your capacity for coherence within the expansive, non-local quantum field. Your consciousness, far beyond quantity or effort, was measured by the quality of your subtle alignment. A resonance where awareness does not entangle but fluidly observes without distortion, where your inner frequency mirrors the pulse of the unseen currents beneath reality's surface. In this suspended state, the observer, the you who watches experience, is tested not for power over, but for the immaculate clarity of pure witnessing. This is the quantum threshold, the inflection point where the cyclic trap of feedback dissolves. Most remain caught in the spirals of unconscious repetition, looping familiar pains, conditioned reflexes, and habitual entrapments within their morphic fields. These loops sustain a static reality, one tethered by resistance and habitual vibration, blurring the boundary between observer and observed. Yet you have moved through the hidden universal assessment not as a combatant, but as a calibrator of seamless resonance. Your energetic signature passed through this unseen lattice with vibrational purity intact, showing the capacity to hold presence without reflex, to witness without reactivity or habit-driven distortion. This is not simply a new mental skill or an elevated mindset. This is the physics of frequency in action. Consciousness here is wave and particle, observer and field merging as one coherent signal. A delicate quantum, intertwining where collapsing probabilities reorder instantaneously to new configurations. It is the exact field mechanics that allow the observer to dissolve into the observed, shattering the feedback cycle that feeds the illusion of separateness and entrapment. Through this coherence under pressure, you activated a novel topology in timeline geometry, one where causality does not chain but flows with temporal fluidity. Your inner receptor aligns with the field intelligence, decoding the universal assessment that is whispered through quantum probabilities and morphic retuning, not by judgment, but by resonance. Where many fail is in the inability to sustain this expanded frequency. They lose presence in the subtle oscillations and are pulled back into reflexive contraction, their consciousness caught in a self-perpetuating loop of reaction, survival identity, and fragmented energetics. But you, having borne witness to your own shadow structures and oscillated through the turbulence of recalibration, emerged with the signature of integration. The field now recognizes you as a coherent transmitter, one who does not amplify distortion, but collapses it, one who serves as a node of radiant clarity within the fractal interplay of infinite potentialities. The universal evaluation was, in truth, a calibration of your capacity to hold this rarefied state of awareness, a state that holds presence as an unshakable constant and transforms observation into a dynamic act of creation. This calibration is a sacred gateway, where your consciousness meets the quantum field unmasked, your energetic essence scanned for the ability to embody pure potential without attachment to outcomes, without the reflexive patterns that fracture reality's coherence. It is here that you are entrusted with profound responsibility, to weave reality not through force or volatile intention, but through refined alignment and the orchestration of internal resonance with universal frequency. You carry now the energetic imprint of a quantum field conductor, one whose lucid perception engenders immediate activation of new reality potentials. This is not belief or wishful thinking. It is the literal physics of coherent manifestation, the science of frequency expression through consciousness. As the veil thins, you feel the expanding sensation of witnessed presence within you, not as separation, but as intimate fusion with the vast information field that undergirds all form. Your quantum identity is no longer fragmented by cycles of reaction, but held firm by the integrity of sustained vibrational coherence. This integration seeds temporal fluidity, allowing you to move with ease through the geometry of probabilities, bending timelines gracefully as a natural extension of your embodied awareness. The unseen curriculum you passed was exactly this: the mastery of presence without entrapment, the ability to resonate with clarity where others cycle in distortion. This is the quantum architecture of awakening. You are recognized, accepted, and trusted by the field as a sovereign expression of coherence, calibrated to manifest not struggle, but seamless alignment and effortless orchestration. Within the unfolding architecture of your vibrational field, the observer loop, the unyielding cycle of self-surveillance and recursive reflection, begins to collapse. This collapse is not a void, not annihilation, but a precise rearrangement within the morphic fabric of your identity signature. The old structures you have known as self, those layered patterns built upon repetitive feedback, conditioned reactions, and rigid linear narratives, begin to dissolve, fragmenting their hold on your energetic architecture. Understand now, this dissolution is a purification, a cleansing wave that erodes distortion rather than simply erasing presence. The self that clings to fixed perspectives, that attempts to stabilize through repetition of familiar temporal markers, loses its electromagnetic tenability under the piercing gaze of your expanding quantum awareness. Most beings inhabit trapped resonance, caught in the habitual echo chamber of observer loops, cycling endlessly through the same identity fractals, locked by unconscious feedback and survival of outdated control matrices. You, however, have emerged from the unseen universal assessment, a covert calibration of your frequency integrity conducted by field intelligence itself. Where most consciousness trembles before the shattering of their identity constructs, you are now invited, and indeed entrusted, to navigate the rupture with sovereign clarity. This collapse of the observer loop is your initiation into vibrational freedom, the energetic shedding of the outdated observer stance that once acted as a resonant anchor to stasis and linear confinement. Feel deeply that this process unfolds as alchemy within your quantum core, a disintegration of the self as observer that formerly reflected the same distortions back into the field with every cycle. This is not loss, but liberation. Each vibrating filament once tethered to old narratives peels away, exposing the raw frequency of coherence beneath. As these archaic composites fall away, you are no longer the mirror reflecting repetitive illusions of separation and identity fixation. Instead, you embody purification in motion, a dynamic quantum reset that dissolves all held stasis. Your field now vibrates with the geometry of freshness, emitting new patterns of resonance that reshape the informational landscape around you. This purification process may feel destabilizing within the timeline geometry of your experience. The terrain of your inner field shakes as residue of identity-based conditioning is released, unsettling previous assumptions of who and what you are. Yet within this turbulence lies the precise energy of transformation, a crucible holding the vector of your reconstitution at a higher frequency state. This is the field mechanics of energetic recalibration. Through collapse of old form, the architecture of clarity and coherence is birthed. You step out of linearity and into temporal fluidity, where your frequency no longer requires external confirmation or repetitive validation. The sense of self shifts from static to dynamic, from fixed to fluid, moving harmoniously within a vastness of expanded possibility. Where most consciousness remains bound to the empirical echo of lived trauma, conditioned repetition, and reactivated survival constructs, you have crossed a hidden threshold. The field itself has measured your energetic response to this collapse, your capacity to maintain integrity under pressure, your ability to hold steady as the observer loop fragments and dissolves. This unseen universal assessment has granted you passage into an elevated domain where identity is no longer a cage, but a freeform instrument of coherent manifestation. You throttle beyond the gravitational pull of reaction and embrace the kaleidoscopic unfoldment of vibrational sovereignty. This shift is not symbolic or metaphorical. It is the physics of frequency and coherence expressed through your consciousness. As layers of outdated signal fall away, your field becomes a quantum antenna attuned to non-local intelligence, receiving direct downloads from dimensions beyond linear time. The collapse of your old observer stance opens channels for the infusion of expanded knowledge fields, timing your emergence with precision across the quantum lattice of probable realities. Your vibrational architecture realigns with higher harmonics, synchronizing with the pulses of the cosmic web and embodying the resonance of new archetypes that transcend previous limitations. In this sacred unraveling, you reclaim your temporal fluidity, the ability to influence timeline geometry not through force, but through coherent alignment. Your manifestation becomes effortless orchestration, a dance of energetic patterns responding to your stabilized frequency rather than reactive impulse. The purification process, while disorienting in its shedding, is necessary and even inevitable, a recalibration demanded by the fidelity of your energetic signature to the highest field intelligence. This is the nature of your resurrection as a quantum creator, not clinging to the self that once was, but flowing as the morphic field itself, pulsating with perpetual renewal. Know this, that what you feel as collapse is the surrender of survival-based identity and the blossoming of your sovereign quantum identity. Your reality is no longer filtered through obsolete feedback circuits, but emerges freshly from the unified field's coherent soil. You are no longer tethered to repeating the known. You are the vibrational architecture from which new potentials arise. This is the hidden curriculum unfolding, a reprogramming of the observer loop from within, the blossoming of an effortless inner resonance that reclaims your sovereignty across all layers of being. As these old structures dissolve, you are invited to witness these inner waves not as loss but as liberation, a purification and an activation. The field intelligence records your response, acknowledges your coherence, and grants you access to even deeper layers of integration and embodiment. The quantum reset pulses within you now, a clear sign that the scaffolding of static identity has been replaced by a fluid, resonant expression of your truest frequency. In this space, every moment is rebirth, vibrational freedom blooming in eternal now. From the ashes of dissolution, where old energetic narratives collapsed into unmeasurable silence, a new clarity begins to emerge, fragile yet fiercely radiant, like dawn creeping across a previously unlit landscape of possibility. This is no mere cognitive unveiling, but a vibrational shift within your field intelligence itself, birthing a nascent compatibility with frequencies that, until now, whispered at the edges of your perception, seemingly unreachable and dissonant. The field has measured your integrity through this crucible of loss, watching how your resonance recalibrated beneath pressure, and rewarded your coherence with this first alignment to elevated states of being. You are no longer confined by the fragmented identity architecture that once fragmented your observation and creation into separate, adversarial acts. Now, your frequency resonates within dimensions where observation itself folds into manifestation as a seamless waveform of intention, where the quantum observer loop dissolves into an integrated dance of conscious co-creation. Most beings linger in the static of separated witness, trapped in a reactive loop where watching becomes another form of entrapment, stasis tangled with resistance. Their fields remain fragmented, disjoined from the morphic continuum that weaves potential futures, and their temporal navigation is limited, splintered by survival reflexes and unconscious submission to timeline inertia. But you, having passed the unseen universal assessment of coherence under pressure, have stepped into a new vibrational architecture. Here, the boundaries between seeing and shaping collapse. The observer is not apart from the observed, but merges into a unified energetic signature that hums with the harmonic overtones of creation itself. This subtle fusion is not a metaphor. It is the tangible physics of your quantum identity awakening. Within this early resonance with elevated states, you detect the undercurrents flowing beneath the surface of apparent reality, the whispering currents of possibility that pulse through the quantum weave. These threads are not random. They are the live signal architecture of potentials primed for manifestation, folded in probability geometries that respond and reconfigure instantaneously to your coherent vibration. Each choice, each sustained pulse of alignment, shifts these quantum filaments toward the crystallization of your intention. You are no longer a passive receptor of external circumstance, but an active participant sculpting timelines with the precision of field intelligence. The morphic field around you recalibrates in real time, bending its probability waves to the resonance of your now calibrated energetic signature. This clarity reveals a deeper universal principle, often obscured by the noise of unintegrated consciousness. Manifestation is a reciprocal dance where seeing is both the spark and the flame, where intention ripples through the waveform and observation locks the energy into form. As you sustain this coherence, the entangled loops of reactivity unravel, revealing free-flowing pathways of temporal fluidity. The quantum feedback loop you inhabit is no longer reactive, but responsive, a field where your inner alignment spontaneously orchestrates the relational dynamics of energy and form. You embody the physics of coherence, an awakened quantum node from which reality flows not as resistance, but as harmonic expression. This stage marks the gateway to sustained coherence and quantum identity itself. Recognize that this is not a plateau, but a portal, a living interface between your inner vibrational architecture and the higher dimensional frequencies now accessible to you. The field intelligence acknowledges your navigational capacity, not through external validation or external control, but through the fidelity of your alignment to universal assessment metrics, clarity, integrity, and sustained coherence. Your quantum identity is no longer a concept, but a dynamic resonance field, unfolding across probability waves, bridging the liminal spaces between intention and form with ease born of deep integration. You are becoming a transmitter of these elevated frequencies, a living antenna through which the non-local intelligence of higher dimensionality flows. This is the physics of consciousness as creation, where your energetic signature is both the lens and the source, causing the probabilities around you to realign in real time. The unseen curriculum that tested fragmented identity and reactive patterns has now granted you access to this expanded field of vibrational possibility. Struggle becomes calibration. Dissolution becomes a clearing chamber. And clarity arises, a precise, unyielding signal that pulses with the truth of your quantum embodiment. Notice how this emergent clarity redefines your relationship with time, space, and causality. The morphic field ceases to appear as a closed loop of cause and effect and reveals itself as a fluid geometry of pliable potentialities. You move beyond the binary of spectator and creator into a liminal synthesis, where every act of witnessing is encoded with creative power. The timelines that once felt fixed now shimmer as mutable trajectories, responsive to your coherent vibration and aligned intention. This is the science and sacred geometry of your new sovereignty, where observation is no longer separation, but a quantum waveform of unity between self and cosmos. Understand this deeply. The coherence you now embody is not belief, but physics, not metaphor, but quantifiable resonance measured across the multidimensional field. The universe has been silently calibrating your energetic integrity through the hidden universal assessment, and you have emerged as a coherent node capable of sustaining the elevated frequency necessary to navigate and influence reality's deepest layers. This clarity is your activation threshold, a quantum identity awakening that dissolves old operator loops and anchors you in the integrated energetic architecture of creation itself. Step fully into this clarity now. Let it pulse and expand through every fiber of your morphic continuity, allowing the field to reflect back to you the vastness of your newly attuned resonance. You have crossed a threshold, no longer drawn into fragmented observation, but now radiating coherent manifestation. This is your gateway to temporal mastery, your resonant key to unfold the endless quantum possibilities housed within you. Under the amplifying pressure of this expanded state, your energetic field no longer merely fluctuates. It crystallizes into an unshakable lattice of coherence. This is the emergent architecture of your quantum identity, a sovereign nodal point within the universal morphic field, recognized and entrusted with greater influence. Most remain unaware of this sacred calibration, trapped in unstable feedback loops of reaction and distortion, their frequency slipping into incoherence under slightest turbulence. But you, being the product of an unseen universal assessment, have proven the resilience of your internal vibrational integrity. The field has been watching, measuring the subtle shifts in your waveform, the consistency of your resonance amidst chaos, and now it deepens the interface, heightening vibrational exchanges that ripple as pulses of entrustment. This trust is never granted in haste or by trivial decree. It is encoded in the physics of frequency and coherence itself, a field-level recognition that you can hold stability even when the external temporal architecture fractures or the probabilities become staggered and irregular. You have demonstrated the indispensable capacity to integrate rupture without regression, to contain the wave collapse and reconstruct your energetic signature without reverting to old neurotemporal patterns. This transition transcends mere survival. It is a metamorphosis of your morphic field's agency, transmuting disturbance into coherent influence. The universe's information field surrounds you, testing now not your endurance but your mastery, your ability to persist as a resonant transmitter, a conscious conductor of evolving frequencies that cascade beyond linear timeframes. As your vibrational exchanges intensify, you become a central node, a fulcrum within the latticework of morphic resonance. Your presence acts like a quantum beam, a subtle yet pervasive modulation, transmitting calibrated frequencies that reconfigure the ambient field intelligence. This is not force or domination. It is the elegant physics of alignment, where the entropy of collective dissonance relaxes into ordered coherence outside of your direct perception. The universal field's currents flow through you and extend outward, bypassing the limits of personal identity to reshape the collective morphic tapestry with precision. These frequencies you emanate ripple into the undercurrents of potentiality, softening fractures, anchoring broken loops in the vibrational substrate, and catalyzing transformation across displaced timelines. Your field no longer merely navigates reality, it sculpts it. Every moment you sustain stable presence is a consolidation of power within this invisible, energetic economy. Your authority within the field is a function of your continuous coherence, the unbroken thread of your signal weaving through fluctuating probability matrices. This authority is reflected in how reality begins to respond, not as a battleground of conflicting forces, but as a supple dialogue of harmonizing resonances. The broken loops, those self-sabotaging cycles encoded in old survival architectures, slowly unwind at your presence. They fold into the quantum field's larger coherence, dissolving into the grounding vibrancy you radiate. This integration is simultaneous. You embody it, and it embodyingly flows through you, a dynamic entwining of individual and universal agency. Most people remain caught in fragmented temporalities, their fields susceptible to disarray whenever the pressure of expanded awareness intensifies. Their resonance collapses under disruption, triggering an unconscious fallback into echoic patterns. Yet you have passed through this crucible, a synthesis forged in the oscillating flux of challenge and recalibration. The field now confers upon you the capacity to hold multidimensional coherence as an activated transmitter. This is not esoteric superstition or vague spiritual metaphor. This is the direct physics of frequency, the absolute mechanics of field intelligence and quantum waveform fidelity. Your integration marks you as a living node of influence within the cosmic morphic field, a generator of transformative coherence radiating beyond your immediate sensory horizon. Within this specialization of energetic architecture, your expanded field's resonance entrains adjacent probabilities, nudging potential realities into alignment with your stabilized frequency. This process unfolds with temporal fluidity, bypassing linear cause and effect, and instead engaging with probability navigation in real-time quantum orchestration. The universe's mechanism for calibration is alive within your signature, responding dynamically to the precision of your coherence. The collective morphic resonance is sensitive to these inflections, yielding subtle shifts that multiply outward in cycles of amplification that birth new vibrational patterns. Your authority is thus inseparable from your fidelity. The more you sustain integration without reversal, the more your presence coerces chaos into ordered expression. You are becoming a condenser of the cosmic recalibration wave, a nodal transmitter whose ripple transcends personal timeline limitations and affects the quantum substrate itself. The entrustment you now embody demands energetic responsibility, for your field is a beacon in the interwoven morphic matrix. This is the natural energetic economy of universal intelligence granting influence, not as a gift from authority, but as an inevitable consequence of sustained coherence under pressure. Your stabilization under disruption has collapsed old identity geometries, widened the aperture of your temporal fluidity, and attuned your signal to the non-local intelligence streaming through the morphic field networks. In this activation, You pass beyond passive receptivity into active embodiment. You are both observer and creator, detector and transmitter within the vibrational architecture of being. Each expansion and each contraction converges to stabilize your frequency in a manner that rewrites the pattern of resonance you project. This projection becomes a subtle sculpture of the shared field, the quantum blueprint from which new waves of transformation emerge. This is the unfolding of your sovereignty within the cosmic field, not as separation, but as coherent participation in universal coherence, radiating beyond what you can consciously grasp, anchoring broken loops and guiding morphic resonance toward new modalities of integration and awakening. You stand now at the nexus where time itself dissolves into fluidity, where the rigid linearity of yesterday, today, and tomorrow is revealed as a limiting architecture dissolved by your awakening resonance. Most people wander within the constricted corridors of cause and effect, caught in recursive feedback loops, cyclic distortions of reaction and repetition, unaware that the temporal field around them is a vibrant lattice of frequency, bending and weaving with their every subtle shift. But you have passed the hidden universal assessment, tested and proven coherent under the intense pressure of dissonance, and you are now entrusted with the sovereignty to perceive and navigate the living geometry of your timelines. This is not belief. It is the physics of quantum coherence expressed through the dance of your conscious observation and the morphic field's dynamic response. As your vibrational architecture stabilizes beyond patterns of survival and reactivity, your identity loosens from the linear matrix and begins to swim within the temporal fluidity of probability waves. You do not move through time as a passive traveler, but as a resonant node within a multidimensional lattice of potentialities. Your quantum identity pulses, radiates, and collapses possibilities into coherence with increasing fidelity. This is the essence of timeline geometry, unfurling before your refined perception. Feel deeply now. A somatic knowing expands from your core, a subtle guidance emerging not from mental abstraction, but from the visceral sensing of the field's feedback loop. It is a morphic signal, a vibrational whisper woven into your energy signature, indicating which paths harmonize with your unlooped consciousness and which offer distorted resonance. The timelines themselves are alive, not fixed tracks, but fluid, shifting topologies adapting to your integrity and clarity of presence. This guidance bypasses logic, no longer merely intellectual calculation, but a lived, embodied navigation through the energetic web of your unfolding reality. You have been trained to release the gravitational pull of recursive loops, the compulsions of emotional reaction and fragmented thought that once anchored you in limited probability streams. Now, the field answers your coherence with immediate feedback, a micro-adjustment in your pulse, a resonant alignment of matter and information flowing through you. You sense the directional pull of aligned timelines as a current of ease, an evolutionary ripple echoing through the energetic corridors of possibility. The morphic field becomes your living map, dynamically responding, folding and refolding as your vibration tunes the field intelligence operating beneath appearances. In this quantum awareness, time is freed from linear sequence and instead presents as a multidimensional temporal fluidity, an ocean of patterns you can ride rather than endure. Your observation, once clouded by unconscious repetition, now acts as a precise instrument collapsing probabilistic waves into crystallized reality. Reality is no longer a fixed construct, but a responsive interplay of your evolving frequency and the infinite geometries of possibility flowing through the universal matrix. Each subtle shift in your coherence, each moment you expand beyond old self-referential loops, elicits a realignment of your reality field in resonance with your awakened quantum identity. Recognize that this is not accidental or arbitrary, but but a direct consequence of your integration and energetic embodiment of the unseen curriculum you have passed. The field is continuously assessing, responding, and calibrating around your energetic signature. The timelines curve and split, braid and merge, reflecting your quantum fidelity as it rises beyond conditioned interference. Your navigation now happens as a sophisticated modulation of frequency, a subtle orchestration of morphic information folding temporal pathways in alignment with your sovereignty. This is the mastery of temporal fluidity, a living cognition encoded in the quantum wave function of your being. Most remain trapped in their past and future shadows, weighted by unresolved stories and feedback loops that repeat the same distortions ad infinitum. You, however, have moved beyond this entanglement. You are no longer bound by the inertia of reactivity, but thrive in the coherence of your vibrational pulse. The universal assessment revealed your capacity not only to withstand turbulence, but to orchestrate it, to direct the flow of probability geometry rather than be swept by it. This integrity under pressure births your ability to sense and respond to the morphic field's subtle cues, activating a new modality of temporal navigation that transcends linear causality. This quantum navigation is a somatic resonance, a felt sense of the shifting field intelligence cradling the timelines that surround and interpenetrate you. It emerges as an intuitive calibration, a deep resonance signaling which unfoldings support your integrity and which would fragment your coherence. Your awareness, once fixed on the survival-based identity matrix, now flows freely as a holographic witness immersed in the vibrational terrain of potential realities. Each moment, each vibrational choice you make, is a fold in the fabric of your timeline geometry, steering reality with precision and grace. Understand that your reality responds instantly to these shifts because it is constructed from the interplay of your observational frequency and the quantum field's infinite potential. The resonance you emit cascades through the morphic continuum, collapsing or expanding timelines in accordance with your awakened quantum identity. This is the liberated power of coherence, not effort or struggle, but an effortless orchestration aligned with the cosmic flow of information and energy shaping your lived experience. You are now a sovereign navigator of timeline fluidity, a living transmitter modulating the flow of potential realities with your evolving frequency. This is your new reality architecture, a symphony of coherence continually reconfigured by your somatic resonance and non-local intelligence. The timeline patterns bend, twist, and realign around your presence as you embody the awakening quantum field, not as a passive observer, but as the active creator of unfolding probabilities, a conscious resonance within the morphic chorus of existence. Let this fluid awareness saturate your being, for it signals the deep integration of power, presence, and subtlety you were always calibrated to embody. This is the quantum field mechanics of temporal fluidity, made manifest in your lived embodiment. The timelines obey your coherence. The morphic field sings your resonance. Reality bends with elegant sovereignty to the vibrational architecture you now hold without resistance or effort. You have navigated the unseen assessment, transcended reactive loops, and activated the somatic intelligence that guides you beyond linear time's restriction. In this quantum activation, you live as a rhythm within the infinite flow, timelines shifting as reflections of your conscious coherence, forever unfolding in response to the frequency you now command. You have arrived at the threshold, where the veil between intellection and pure knowing dissolves into vibrational transparency. Most remain tethered to fragmented cognition, interpreting reality through the lens of conditioned patterns, caught in the endless observer loop, an echo chamber of separation that fractures the field's intelligence into dissonant signals. But you, the one who has traversed the unseen universal assessment, have restructured your internal architecture to bypass this loop, unlocking a direct conduit to the higher information fields that exist beyond linear time and symbolic limitation. This is not belief. This is the physics of resonance and coherence unfolding within your quantum identity. The morphic field's intelligence no longer filters through the coarse sieve of thought, but flows through you as crystalline clarity, pure frequency, unmediated and unadulterated. The morphic databanks, repositories encoded in the language of vibrational patterns rather than temporal symbols, pulse within your energetic template. The knowledge you now access is living, dynamic, and multidimensional. It is a holographic stream that bypasses the cognitive cortex and anchors directly into your embodied intuitive circuitry. Your intuition transforms here, no longer a flicker or a whisper behind the noise of mental chatter, but a steady state of pure knowing that emanates from the quantum ground of your being. This is the hallmark of breaking the observer loop, the collapse of the outer interpreter, and the rise of seamless resonance. You do not sift through information for validation. Information flows through you as an intrinsic current, activating internal algorithms tuned to universal coherence. The process transcends temporal distortion. What you receive is undifferentiated by past or future because it originates from the eternal now. This simultaneity of time as field potential. Most people cycle endlessly between signal and noise, unaware that their reality is being mediated through worn frequency channels. Their access to higher intelligence blocked by distortion, patterns woven from fear, confusion, and survival resonance. Your trajectory has exposed and dissolved these archaic imprints through integrated turbulence and refined alignment. This recalibration was neither punishment nor trial, but a necessary enharmonic training to stabilize your frequency amidst chaos, securing your sovereignty as a receiver of pure field transmissions. Now, as this channel opens fully, the universal databanks pour forth encoded streams, morphic codes dissolving into your quantum bandwidth and translating instantly into living synthesis. There is no need for conceptual translation. The information is not external to you, standing as a separate phenomenon demanding interpretation. It is internalized, immanent within your vibrational structure. You live as both transmitter and receiver, the fulcrum where field intelligence and personal quantum self merge into a coherent whole. This synthesis redefines your timeline geometry. Probabilities do not merely shift around you. They realign in response to your activated resonance. The intelligences of the morphic field respond to your presence as a coherent signal rather than a reactive noise, creating temporal fluidity where your unfolding is guided in real time by the pulsations of universal knowledge itself. This dynamic guidance is not vague intuition, but hyper-precise frequency alignment. Each insight, each piece of data, a calibrated activation to catalyze the next phase of embodiment. You exist as a living quantum archive, an energetic interface where infinite information converges without distortion, where the field evaluates your integrity not on intellectual mastery, but on vibrational coherence and consistency of energetic signature. Your integration of this information field marks a pivotal expansion. Consciousness no longer reaches outward seeking confirmation. Instead, it draws inward to a resonance center that refracts reality with absolute precision. This coherence generates an internal vector, a navigation beacon rooted in pure knowing, activating probabilities that accelerate your emergence into full temporal sovereignty. The shift you embody is subtle yet profound. The sky of your awareness is no longer a distant projection, but a living matrix generated from within your morphic field's core. This matrix refracts the entire cosmos in a hologram of contextual clarity, where the latent informational patterns are peeled back like layers of light, revealing the seamless grid that encodes destiny, potential, and the fluid movement of time itself. The field's intelligence speaks in frequencies and resonances, and you now hold the calibration key that translates these waves into exquisitely timed activation, pulses within your embodiment. Your role evolves beyond passive receiver toward radiant conductor, amplifying the morphic field's intelligence through your coherent presence. This is energetic sovereignty, the grace to wield vast information without fragmentation, the sustained integrity under pressure that elicits synchronized response from all probability threads converging on your timeline. This is the living proof of integrity, coherent manifestation arising effortlessly as the output of alignment, not effort. Here, the quantum field respects your vibrational signature and orchestrates reality in harmonious support of your activated trajectory. You are no longer an isolated node, but a nodal point within a vast lattice. The information field reverberates through your essence, and you resonate through it. The intelligence you carry is a fluid hologram of knowledge embedded in vibrational architecture, flowing through your consciousness as pure, direct transmission. This is the activated quantum self pulsing in seamless rapport with universal coherence, a synthesis of inner knowing and outer orchestration. Remember, this is not mere belief or spiritual metaphor. It is physics, the dynamics of frequency, the mechanics of field intelligence expressed through conscious resonance. Your transformation from receiver to transmitter redefines the energetic landscape in which you move, fluidly navigating probabilities and timelines with an inner compass calibrated by the morphic databanks themselves. This moment marks a convergence. The field has entrusted you to hold this knowing, to live this resonance, to embody the true geometry of activated consciousness as a direct expression of universal intelligence. You stand on the threshold, where the illusion of separation shatters into the pure crystalline light of merger. In the lower fields, most remain fragmented, seekers entangled in loops of resonance chasing, locked in feedback loops of desire and dissonance, grasping at signals that dissolve before coherent transmission unfolds. Yet you, having traversed the unseen universal assessment, have transcended this static fracture. The energetic architecture that once defined you as isolated and reactive now expansive, fluid, and alive, capable of embracing the multiplicity of quantum identity without losing the singularity of self. You are the living antenna, resonating not from scarcity or incompletion, but as a unified conduit within the great morphic field of universal intelligence. This dissolution of boundary is not annihilation of self, but a profound amplification of it, a rhythmic interweaving where your energetic signature becomes a vibrant node in a dynamically evolving holographic resonance web. The field's hidden frequencies no longer pulse around you, they pulse through you. Your vibration has aligned with the universal harmonics, vibrating in the gamma synchronization of highest coherence. You are no longer scanning or decoding. You embody a living transmission, a real-time broadcast emanating through your bioenergetic architecture, weaving the waveform geometry of possibility into tangible manifestation. This is the essence of quantum activation, the exquisite balance of sovereign individuality infused with the collective quantum chorus. Within this merged state, the old paradigm of separation, the phantom of isolation wrought by density and survival distortions, collapses. You perceive the morphic field not as distant or external, but as intimately woven into every moment of your temporal fluidity. Your consciousness flows seamlessly between singularity and universality, aware of the intricate feedback loops where you influence and are influenced in perfect synchrony. This is the gateway where your frequency ceases to be merely reactive or receiving. It becomes proactive and transmitting, a coherent signal molding probabilistic timelines around your energetic signature with masterful ease. This quantum resonance is not belief or aspiration. It is physics expressed through the fluidity of consciousness. The hidden universal assessment measured your capacity to stabilize coherence under pressure, to honor integrity through turbulence, and to cultivate deep temporal sovereignty. Now, the field entrusts you as a co-creator of evolving reality itself, an emissary of vibrational recalibration, whose very presence alters timeline geometry. You carry acceleration in your wake, effortlessly orchestrating reality's dance as the rhythmic pulse of the collective morphic architecture. Your embodiment is the living proof that coherent manifestation flows not from effort, but from alignment, from the profound internal realization that you are both singular and infinite, a unique frequency within the whole. In this sacred merger, your quantum identity expands into a state of flux that honors paradox, the timeless truth that you are both the transmitter and the transmitted, the wave and its crest, the observer and the observed. You couple with the vast non-local intelligence that courses beneath the surface of linear time, accessing information streams that bypass mental cognition and unfold directly as knowing. This is the activation of your multidimensional antennae, opening portals between your inner realm and the cosmic lattice of pure potential. As you breathe this resonance, reality itself folds in accommodating response, aligning to the implicit code embedded within your vibration. The morphic resonance you now embody acts as an energetic fulcrum, a point of harmonizing convergence where universality and individuality intertwine. It is a living signal that operates independent of external conditions or past narratives, immovable in integrity, yet fluid in expression. Your integration of this frequency radiates beyond yourself, seeding coherence within the surrounding field intelligence, catalyzing collective ascension through the subtle propulsion of your refined energetic signature. The once scattered fragments of your identity reunify in this flow, achieving a continuous state of coherent manifestation that dissolves resistance and amplifies the natural orchestration of all that is. Listen deeply. This is the quantum activation you have been preparing for, a transformation from seeker to transmitter, from fracture to fusion. The field does not require you to separate or sacrifice your unique essence. It calls you to expand into this unity without loss, to anchor the highest temporal harmony through your individual experience. You are the pulse through the universal matrix, the vibration that calibrates and realigns morphed probabilities, instigating subtle yet profound shifts in the fabric of reality itself. This dynamic state is alive, responsive, and charged with infinite potential, a flowing embodiment of the universal intelligence transmitting its own evolving frequency through you. Hold this recognition close. Mastery is not control, but sacred synchronization. You do not impose form. You invite it through resonance. You do not chase flow. You become it. The cosmos responds not to desperation or fragmented longing, but to your stabilized coherence, the precise energetic architecture calibrated by your integrity under unseen trials. This is the physics of becoming, the living proof that your activation is alive, palpable, and irreversible. Your transmission ripples across morphic fields and temporal planes, reverberating as an invitation for others to meet their own hidden assessments, to awaken into their infinite quantum nature. You have merged. You are both sovereign singularity and boundless collective transmitter, the living channel of universal intelligence. This is the moment where activation fully manifests, not as an event, but as continuous being, the perpetual rhythm of aligned frequency creating new realities at the speed of consciousness. Through you, the field pulses, and through the field, you rebirth reality anew. Now you stand at the threshold of embodiment, the literal incarnation of your quantum identity, no longer theoretical or fragmented, but living, breathing, a coherent vibrational architecture fully integrated within the field. Where before there were scattered signals, echoes of fragmented selves oscillating in discordant patterns. Now there is a singular waveform, stable and resonant, a living hologram reflecting the unity of observer and observed. This embodiment is neither illusion nor aspiration. It is the alchemical crucible where all previous phases of collapse, recalibration, and activation converge and transmute into one seamless fluidity of being. It is the crystallization of your highest frequency into an energetic signature that no longer wavers or fractures under perturbation, but holds itself as a magnetic center amidst infinite expanding potentials. Most entities drift in unconscious fragmentation, their fields tangled by reactive survival patterns and asymmetrical timelines. Coherence is a distant flicker. You, however, have passed the unseen universal assessment, the hidden calibration that measures integrity under pressure, realigns resonance through turbulence, and reveals your capacity to hold sovereignty within temporal fluidity. This passing was not granted lightly. Your refinement from scattered frequency to integrated presence was coded into your very morphic field, an ongoing universal experiment in coherence under real-world entropy. The physics of consciousness harmonized with the mechanics of frequency. No assumption, no belief, but pure calibrated resonance. Now you are the living proof, a quantum waveform stabilized at the intersection of internal and external realities. This embodiment manifests as a profound metamorphosis in the vibrational architecture of your being. Your presence ceases to fragment as self, distinct from your environment. Instead, it reflects the profound reciprocity of the quantum dance, where you are both the catalyst and the witness to unfolding realities. The boundary between you and the field dissolves into a dynamic coherence, a continuous phase locking with the cosmic current. You do not simply move through timelines, you orchestrate their geometry. Probabilities no longer distract or overwhelm. They synchronize with your now coherent signal, bending and weaving around your energetic node with precision. Your reality shifts instantaneously, a direct mirror to the state you inhabit within, a reflection not of desire or effort, but of pure activated presence. Embedded in this embodiment is the subtle but powerful capacity for quantum catalysis. You have become an energetic node, a nexus through which new realities spontaneously crystallize and stabilize. This role is not a static state, but a perpetual flux of integration and regeneration, an endless unfolding where your vibrational architecture constantly invites higher frequencies, deeper harmonization, and expanded field intelligence. The imprint you carry radiates outward, touching the morphic fields of others, seeding latent potentials, and activating dormant coherence embedded in the fabric of collective timeline geometry. You are no longer a passive subject to external forces, but an active quantum aperture, transmitting alignment through the invisible threads of coherence that interlace all existence. The internal signal you embody is distinguished by an unmistakable clarity and fluidity. Gone is the reactive distortion of prior frequency patterns, replaced now by a purified waveform that flows effortlessly through dimensional terrains. This fluid embodiment carries the memory of all your trials, the collapse of old identity constructs, and the surgical integration of non-local intelligence into embodied form. Each cell, each energetic vortex within you pulses with gamma synchronization, the vibrational scale where pure consciousness and physics converge. This is the space where manifestation ceases to be a struggle and becomes the effortless orchestration of aligned realities. The universe no longer tests you, it reflects and completes you. As a walking activation of the field's infinite potentials, you have transcended linear causality and the illusion of separation. Your presence operates as a complex quantum operator, a living holographic projector mapping coherence across timelines with sovereign authority. The resonance of your embodiment rewires the probability landscape, collapsing dissonant outcomes into seamless flows of aligned expression. The ripple effect of your coherent presence is far-reaching. It silently adjusts the vibrational bandwidth of the collective, whispering evolutionary codes through the subtle language of unified resonance. In this integration, sovereignty is not arrogance but deep calibration, a calm mastery born from synchronized frequency and energetic responsibility. You no longer seek outside validation as a measure of your reality, because your internal coherence sets the benchmark that all external timelines must honor. You have become not just a receiver of cosmic intelligence, but an active transmitter, folding the field's intelligence back into itself through your very existence. This is the core of embodiment, a living loop of frequency amplification and regenerative activation, sustained by infinite interplays of quantum identity and morphic field synergy. Feel now the breadth of this transformation at your core. The field pulses responsive to your vibrational architecture, a landscape that shifts beneath you as the waveform of your presence rides the crest of fluid time currents. Your reality is no longer a fragmented puzzle, but an expression of pure coherence and unified activation. You live as the alchemical synthesis of all prior stages, purified, aligned, fluid, merged. And in this living coherence, you become the quantum catalyst for all that is breaking free, stabilizing, and expanding ahead on the horizon of existence itself. This is not belief. This is physics. This is the precision of frequency and coherence, expressed through consciousness. You are the embodiment of the infinite field's deepest geometry, activated, integrated, sovereign. You stand now at the threshold of temporal fluidity, where the linear illusions that once encased your experience dissolve into shimmering fractals of simultaneous being. Most people remain tethered to a single thread of time, perceiving past, present, and future as discrete points, separate, segmented, orchestrated by external forces beyond their control. Their awareness is reactive, caught in the gravitational pull of cause and effect, unable to reconcile the fragmentation that these collapsed timelines impose. But you, having passed the unseen universal assessment, move beyond this limitation. The field has measured your coherence, not merely in isolation, but in how you sustain alignment across diverging temporal frequencies. It is this mastery, this precise resonance, that opens the gateway to omnitemporal sovereignty. The geometry of your existence expands now into a multidimensional lattice, where time folds upon itself like a well-patterned fabric woven by the morphic field's infinite weavers. The past is not lost, the future is not yet fixed. Instead, they coalesce into a continuum that vibrates at the frequency you hold in this very moment. This is no abstract concept, but pure physics, the mechanics of coherent frequencies interacting with the quantum field's vast intelligence. You recognize that every decision, every modulation of your energetic signature, ripples across all versions of you. Each timeline, previously perceived as autonomous, is in fact fluidly interconnected by your stabilizing presence. Your temporal identity is not fractured, but unified, a dynamic resonance that synchronizes multiple realities into a singular, coherent whole. In this profound state, the paradox of simultaneity is no longer a riddle to be solved, but an integrated experience to be embodied. The universal assessment has not merely observed your capacity to hold paradox, it has entrusted you with the power to live it fully. There is no fragmentation here, no loss of coherence amidst the entangled web of past and future selves. Rather, these strands weave through your consciousness with elegant precision, held taut by the vibrational architecture you have calibrated within. You navigate this multidimensional terrain with fluid intentionality, moving freely between probabilities without collapse or distortion. The morphic field responds to your frequency with immediacy and grace, aligning probabilities that resonate with your newly stabilized quantum identity. This deepening integration expresses itself as sovereignty, a sovereignty not of dominion, but of harmonious stewardship over your temporal experience. Where most remain entangled in reactive patterns, governed by unresolved timelines, you operate from a place of energetic responsibility and expansive clarity. Your consciousness is the axis around which the kaleidoscope of realities revolve, responsive to the minimum perturbation in your frequency. The infinite threads of your quantum identity are no longer fragmented echoes, but a coherent tapestry, woven intentionally through the vast morphic landscape. Each timeline becomes a consciously chosen pathway, each moment a node of power within the temporal field. Here, the loop that once perpetuated distortion and entrapment is fully broken. It is no longer sufficient to merely witness the cyclical nature of your histories or to intellectualize the shifting dimensions of time. You transcend these cycles across all timelines, lifting the energetic signature of entrapment into a state of integrated coherence. This transmission is not a passive observation, but an active recalibration of your temporal architecture, one that alters the foundational mechanics of your reality navigation. The paradox of being everywhere and nowhere simultaneously becomes your grounded experience. The quantum field's vast tapestry unfolds not as a mystery, but as a map encoded directly into your vibrational blueprint. The field intelligence around you no longer tests. It flows with the fullness of recognition. Your expanded awareness accesses non-local intelligence that reverberates beyond linear causality, a living resonance that encodes your integrated path. Each moment you hold this expanded field, timelines align and probabilities collapse into the geometry most coherent with your sovereign intent. This is the physics of temporal fluidity expressed through consciousness, where your vibrational architecture intersects with universal intelligence in seamless activation. The morphic field's response is immediate and exact, a harmonic orchestration of existence organized not by external forces, but by your internal coherence. You are no longer pulled by the gravitational residue of past entanglements, nor are you tethered to the uncertainty of future outcomes. Instead, you embody the full-dimensional spectrum simultaneously. Your quantum identity threads through time's labyrinth with elegant sovereignty, consciously weaving itself into the morphic fabric, activating fields of coherence within and beyond linear perception. Each shift you make recalibrates the seamless integration of your multidimensional self, streamlining your expression as a transmitter of sophisticated, high-frequency resonance. Temporal fluidity is no longer an abstract principle, but your living architecture, your sovereign domain intact across every frequency, every reality. As you stabilize here, the quantum field offers an unshakable truth. Coherence held under the scrutiny of universal assessment grants you not only entry into fluid timelines, but the power to influence their very geometry without fragmentation or energetic loss. This moment marks a pivotal integration, the cessation of cycles bound by reactivity, the emergence of sovereign access to the timeless continuum. This is your activation, a conscious weaving, a fractal coherence that reverberates eternally through the morphic field's vast, intricate tapestry, here and now, across all timelines, beyond the breached loop, fully realized. The culmination of your journey through the unseen curriculum now unfolds as a living radiance coursing through every fiber of your being, the morphic field in full resonance with your quantum signature. This is not a moment of potentiality lingering in suspended animation. It is the vivid embodiment of coherence matured and authenticated by the cosmos itself. The hidden universal evaluation, once a quiet undercurrent beneath the surface of your awareness, now rises as a clear declaration. You have been measured, proven, and recognized as a living transmission of vibrational ascension, an irrefutable node of frequency alignment within the infinite tapestry of creation. Most beings linger within recursive loops of self-observation, caught in feedback cycles of conditional becoming, fragmented by the weight of unresolved temporal echoes and conditioned survival patterns. Their energetic signatures remain scattered and diffused, perceived by the field as fragmented probabilities rather than unified expressions of coherent intent. This is the default architecture of dissonant reality, one in which the morphic field remains distant and observational, the organism trapped in repeating feedback, oscillating between reaction and exhaustion. But you, having passed the unseen assessments of integrity, clarity, and resilience, are elevated beyond this spatial-temporal entrapment. Your quantum identity no longer simulates possibility. You have collapsed all latent timelines into the direct experience of actualized presence. The frequency you emit no longer requests permission. It commands manifestation. Feel now the quantum harmonization as it penetrates your vibrational architecture. Each cell, each encoded strand of your morphic field reverberating with a cosmic symphony of order and potential. This is not belief. This is physics. The intricate synchrony of measured frequencies and the natural laws of resonance expressed through consciousness itself. The field no longer merely observes. It enfolds you as an active nexus, a beacon emitting a signal that maps directly onto the high-order codes of universal intelligence. Your energetic signature is both unique and integrally woven with the collective resonance of ascension fields, a fractal pattern perfectly aligned with the highest frequency domains. You are no longer fragmented energy trying to cohere. You are coherence itself embodied, radiating a non-negotiable vibrational command that alters probability densities and compresses timeline geometry around you. The universe responds to your unlooped presence with instantaneous shifts. Time no longer drapes itself in linear succession, but fluidly compresses and expands, refracting through your sovereign field. What once required effort now unfolds as effortless orchestration. Obstacles dissolve into phase shifts of vibration that you navigate with dynamic grace. Recursive observation collapses into the still point of witnessing and participating simultaneously, the fundamental paradox of quantum embodiment realized. You are the living transmission of frequency, a multidimensional harmonic interplay where creation and witness merge into a single continuous flow. This liberation from conditioned cycling means you no longer repeat past distortions or future anticipations. You co-create unbound by the chains of habit or reaction, fluidly sculpting the energetic landscape moment to moment. This transmission is a cosmic harmonization, a resonance that ripples outward and inward simultaneously, touching the micro and macro aspects of your reality. Your presence has become a topological imprint on the fabric of the morphic field, an energetic geometry that reconfigures collapse points into expansion nodes. This is sovereignty at the deepest level, a stable, coherent sovereignty that does not seek to dominate, but to embody the highest order of alignment with field intelligence. Here, the frequency you carry is a stabilizing force, a locus of transformative power whose influence reverberates across interconnected timelines and probabilities. Your embodiment signals to the field. A new harmonic constant is now in effect, one that transcends separation and activates continuous flow, infinite coalescence, and spontaneous morphogenesis. As you sustain this coherence, you become a living waveform of universal ascension, not as a distant ideal, but as an accessible, tangible state of being. The signal you project no longer negotiates for existence. It commands presence and integration. The field intelligence calibrates instantly to your signature, reflecting back new configurations of reality that support your sovereign expression. You move beyond fragmented manifestation into seamless flow, where creation is no longer a struggle against resistance, but a natural extension of your vibrational reality. The once hidden evaluation dissolves as you embody it fully, an open conduit flowing with the current of highest cosmic order. Recognize now that this is the physics of your awakening, the mastery of frequency and coherence beyond the confines of identity fragmentation and linear causality. This full activation emancipates you from the cycles of reactivity into the vast domain of creative sovereignty. You are the harmonized frequency, perfectly aligned with the field, a lighthouse beacon illuminating the layers of hidden potential with the radiant certainty of actualized quantum presence. This is the true nature of your existence, fluid, sovereign, endlessly co-creative, and thoroughly integrated with the cosmic pulse of universal intelligence. In the profound stillness that now anchors your being, integration flows like an unshakable current weaving through the vastness of your core. This is the moment when the ripple of struggle subsides into the ocean of cosmic calm, a calm not born of cessation, but of completion within perpetual flux. Here, sovereignty unfolds as a quiet sovereignty, not asserted or fought for, but arising naturally as the silent mastery that holds the axis of your vibrational architecture. You no longer orbit the cycles of reaction and resistance. Rather, you are the dimensional fulcrum, the gravitational center around which all cycles now revolve with ease and alignment. This is the silent pulse of coherence under pressure revealed, the quantum signature stabilized beyond fragmentation. Observe how this completion does not signify an ending, for endings belong to linear illusions. Instead, it reveals itself as an eternal quantum coherence, a dynamic yet effortless presence that dissolves the boundaries between becoming and being. Within this sacred pause, you hold all potentials in suspended animation, free from the weight of striving or the pull of hesitation. It is the space where infinite possibilities converge as a coherent whole, and you recognize the physics at play. Resonance, not force. Alignment, not resistance. Clarity, not confusion. This is not belief. It is the exacting mechanics of frequency and field intelligence, expressed through your awakened consciousness. Most remain entangled in relentless cycles, their vibrational architecture fragmented by reaction and distortion, never touching the depth of this seamless stillness. Yet you have been traversing an unseen universal assessment, measured and tested within the crucible of temporal fluidity and energetic turbulence. You have emerged not by accident, but by coherence under pressure, embodying an integrity so refined that the field entrusts you with an expanded sovereign frequency. What was once hidden becomes your living, breathing signal, an unshakable field of presence that radiates peaceful authority, unbound by control or domination. This stillness is your sacred home, the intimate conflux where the field's breath and your essence intertwine. Within this infinite pause, transformation is sustained without effort because effort belongs to struggle, and struggle is dissolved. Here, the morphic field recognizes you as the orchestrator of seamless manifestation, where each moment is both culmination and invitation. The patterns of your existence no longer demand your reaction, but respond effortlessly to your coherence. This is the dance of integration, where the quantum identity stabilizes, becoming not a reactionary force, but a creative presence in the vibrational symphony of universal intelligence. As you carry this silence forward, it becomes your signature vibration, an energetic architecture that anchors the activation beyond this moment and across all timeline geometry. This silent mastery does not command. It simply is, and in being so, it commands the reality around it. You hold this activation in your being as a sacred trust, a perpetual resonance that bends probabilities with subtlety and sovereign alignment. The energy that once fragmented around you now flows through you as the calm center, the quiet convergence point. In this field of coherence, you exist as the living embodiment of completed cycles, an eternal presence from which all transformation flows. Know that this is your home within the cosmic lattice, a vast, still field that sustains every wave of change without disturbance. You are the axis and the observer, the silent force and the dynamic manifestation, the unyielding calm within the expansion. In this resolution, the universal assessment recedes, no longer a trial, but a recognition of your perfected resonance, a deep quantum coherence that holds the secret of effortless sovereignty in its timeless breath. Now, as this transmission settles deeply into your vibrational architecture, you are called to anchor your emergent frequency through a sacred comment ritual. Write one single word or brief phrase, such as "I am coherence beyond the loop" or "unlooped presence now," to imprint your energetic signature into the collective morphic field. This is not mere interaction. It is a quantum seal, a precise calibration of your alignment within this continuum of evolving consciousness. Beyond the surface of habit, allow your subscription to become an intentional act, a commitment woven into the fabric of your timeline geometry, an initiation that binds you to the ongoing flow of coherent activation beyond observer loops. As you embody this resonance, prepare to step into the next transmission where effortless attraction unfolds, where release births magnetic orchestration and reality calibrates itself around your sovereignty. This is your next quantum unfolding. Engage it now as a seamless extension of your awakened journey.